What a start to the season we had just a couple of weeks ago when we went racing for the first round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's road course series for 2026. It was an immense fight between Henrik Lindhoff and Marcus Byfeld, which has led us to have a 1-point gap between the two championship rivals after just the first couple of races. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to see who is going to be coming out on top this season. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Dame Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix here from Virginia International Raceway for rounds 3 and 4 of our road course GT3 season. We've got 8 races, or 8 rounds I should say, coming your way between now and April. We already had Nürburgring a couple of weeks ago, but we go to Virginia today. In a couple of weeks' time, we go to Laguna Seca for a little back-to-back stretch in America before going to Monza, Interlagos, Brands Hatch, Sonoma, and Suzuka at the end of April to round out our champion. Marcus Byfeld has won 3 of the last 4 road course series, and he's sitting there in second place. As I mentioned, just a 1-point gap between him and Henrik Lindhoff. They traded wins apiece, but it was fastest laps going the way of Henrik Lindhoff. The extra bonus point there, a couple of bonus points I should say, that just had him out on top by 1 at the end of it. Is really close in behind those. Sundström, Holmer, Jokashu, Strollberg, they are just 2 points separated, those 4 drivers. And then of course not so far behind of many other drivers after just 1 round of action. But the pace difference out on the track was quite remarkable between those two, and they were, at times half a second faster than any driver, even in 3rd position. So let's see if the pair can dominate the field once again as we come to a very tricky circuit here at Virginia. The course that is famously has a million corner numbers. It's got T4, T4A, 4B, etc. We'll have to work all those out as we work our way through. But in general, it's a very fun track here. It's got loads of elevation change. It's thin, it's narrow, difficult for overtaking. But Ewan, it is a whole load of fun. And the action out there is going to be crazy because some of these overtakes that we see are going to be pretty sketchy.
Yeah, they certainly are. There's not a million chances to overtake around here, and so when you do end up getting the opportunity, you do have to take it. And even that best overtaking chance coming up at the end of this straight here as we follow Marcus Byfeld on a qualifying lap all the way to the roller coaster at the end of the back straight here. Even that is not an easy overtaking chance by any means. And if you get it wrong, of course, there is a tyre wall that's perpendicular to the racetrack there, ready to collect you if you're going off there at high speed. You'll see it on the right-hand side of this. There it is, just in that camera shot there. It's a very, very difficult racetrack. No room for error around here. No tarmac runoff anywhere either. And it will see very large time gaps. Only 8 drivers within a second at the moment.
Yeah, to be honest, it is really one of my favourite tracks to drive out there. It's so fun. It's a roller coaster. It's fast. It is flowing. And it is so difficult indeed as we're seeing the nearly on-pace driver of Marcus Byfeld go to the top. Slightly improves his time to go half a second clear at the front with Henrik Lindhoff in his Mustang for Sim Race Sweden. Actually dropped down to 3rd place as Mikko Sundström, 3rd place in the championship. For the first time this season, breaks up the top pair and gets up into 2nd place. Jokashu is 5th in the championship. He's up there in 4th place. So once again, it is the top drivers coming to the front. The only driver we haven't mentioned in the top 5 of the championship is Dan Holmer, but he's still only down in 8th place.
Yeah, so it just shows that the previous round, that first round 2 weeks ago, did have a good showing of those who are actually quick as well as converting in terms of their actual race finishes as well, which is not always the case when you look at pace versus their actual finishing position. But as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, it was so important for Henrik Lindhoff, or at least somebody, to get in amongst it with Marcus Byfeld and just interrupt him at the front of the field. Now that they're 1 win apiece, yes, it's going to be difficult to keep up throughout the entirety of the season. But if you start off on a dominant foot with 2 wins out of 2, I think it's very, very difficult to bring a championship leader back from there, even after only 1 round with still of course 16 races in this season. However, it's going to be, it was, as I say, important to keep him close for that first week. Now, important to try and stay close as well for this middle part of the season, if possible.
And just to remind you of the format, we have 2 races coming. So we have a 20-minute race following this qualifying, and then we will have a reverse top 15 and go into a feature race of 44 minutes where they will need a pit stop because we have only 50% of the fuel tank available. So this is the important one. This is the sprint race. This is where you want to start from the front. Henrik Lindhoff coming up across the line. What is it going to be? It's going to be a 0.4. He's just going to miss out on the pole position. It's going to be second place by a 1/10 of a second. Less than a minute to go. Doesn't have enough time to complete another lap. So Marcus Byfeld is holding on strong there for his pole position. He's back in the pit lane anyway, so is Sundström, as that was Tommy Auto getting up into 4th position. Dropping Yokishu down into 5th place. But what an effort that was from Lindhoff, just showing he does have the pace to challenge Byfeld. So that is what we like to see. There's Dan Holmer down in P11. And once again, interesting thing from Sim Race Sweden, where all their drivers kind of have the different chassis out there. There's the Mercedes AMG for Homer, where it's the Ford Mustang for Lindhoff. Here's Jo Stralberg with 15 seconds to go. He's not going to quite have enough time to get back to the line, but he'll at least be able to have a couple more corners of practice before the session ends.
Yeah, and that might be well be worth it as well. It's such a difficult racetrack round here to get around, and so you do need all the practice you can get, really. I expect to see mistakes, expect to see guys off the side of the circuit, and I say difficulty in working your way past as well, but it can be done around here. So let's see how this first race goes. Is it going to be Marcus Byfeld controlling it from the front, or is Lindhoff going to be able to replicate the pace that he showed on that very last lap of qualifying?
Well, here's your grid for today's Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix. It is Byfeld and Lindhoff, your two championship rivals, on the front row, with Sundström and Auto rounding out your top 4. Yokishu and Andres Backman are inside your front 3 rows of the field. Stralberg, Kruk, Norberg, Hagman, Holmer and Kozma are there in the top 12. And of course, there are a lot of drivers here out for the GT3 season. Rosqvist, Broström, Gunnarsson, Bredesen, Forsberg and Oscar Motin are your top 18. Once again, Sim Race Sweden, they've got all the different chassis out there today. Ericsson, Olsen, Svensson, Schott, Frisk and Hillestrom are your top 12 rows of the grid. Then we've got Orberg, Gran, Ulriksson, Matheson, Svensson, Coulson there inside the top 30 before we get Forsell, Dahlstrand, Delander, Gens, Broström and Ullman, your top 36. And on the final page, we're going to have Reistad, Flifkowski, Gustrin, Marcus Stiller and Pfeffer. Those final 4 drivers not setting laps. Once again, Marcus Stiller doing the last to first challenge, as he always does. So we're looking very nice in terms of the weather for the first race. There is some chance of precipitation for the second, but we'll have to see when we get there. At least going to be some clouds. But let's see how this one goes. Bright and sunny out there, Ewan. What are your predictions in terms of how the race is going to go?
I think it is going to be difficult to get past Marcus Byfeld from the front, to be honest. Outside of turn 1 is not really a place you want to be. So normally here you actually see 3rd place moving up to 2nd very quickly. And with Mikael Sundström being a teammate of Byfeld, they are surely going to try and help one another get into a 1 and 2 position coming out of the first sector on the first lap. After that, it could be very difficult, even more difficult for Lindhoff, who I think will be pleased, or should be pleased, in my opinion, to get out of here with a 2nd place finish in race 1 and then try and return serve by beating Byfeld in the feature race later, as he, I believe that's the way around they were last time.
Absolutely, yes. It was Byfeld leading the sprint from the pole, but then it was Lindhoff with some strategy getting ahead and able to hold on in the feature race second time around. The pace truck gets everyone underway. Over 40 cars coming around for the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix. That is a whole load of cars. The Svenska Eracingligan's road course series for 2026 is getting underway. Your defending series champion, Marcus Byfeld, is going to have a lot of work to hold on from Lindhoff, who's showing some great pace so far. We go 2 by 2 all the way down this long front straightaway in towards the first corner. The outside line is quite good, so we'll have to see if he's able to hold on and not squeezed out. But it's going to be Marcus Byfeld from that front row who's going to get us underway. They are tightly packed in there. Lindhoff already squeezes across to the right-hand side to cover off his second place position as we work our way towards the first braking zone. It's tight, it's narrow, it's difficult to see your braking points. Is anyone going to be running deep? It looks like it's good so far for the top 10 or so drivers. Oh, there's a little bit of a spin in the background though. We'll have to see who that one was, because that was already under the brakes going for a spin.
It was in the back third of the field, though, so I think most of them will be okay to get through cleanly on this opening lap. Fredrik Forsell seems to have dropped off the back. Not sure if it was him who was spun to the inside, though, on the way towards turn one. That wasn't a good start at all from Sundström, who really should have been right in behind his teammate Byfeld, and they should have coordinated that start. Oh, what a save! Oh, no, he's still lost it. Sundström lost it coming out the first section. It was nearly a brilliant save, and he's lost it. He's backwards, and he's going to be almost last at the end of this opening lap.
Yeah, that was on the XL turn 6, and that's such a shame for him. Oscar Motin's got the meatball somewhere as well. I did see one of the sim race speeding cars having a bit of a slide. He must have gone off. So that has left the top two off the hook, over a second already to Tommy Alto. And importantly, that is a teammate of Byfeld. So he's got no help up there, not to be honest that they're really going to need it. But it's at least another car involved. But now it's a two-way battle at the front, just like we saw Lucas Olsson also getting the meatball. So it was all good through the first couple of corners. And then as soon as we got to the twisty section, from turn 4 to 6, that's when all hell broke loose.
That's where it gets difficult, although to be fair, the first sector is difficult as well. Alto and Ju in the background side by side coming into the roller coaster at the end of the back straight there at the end of another lap. Ju getting into third position, and Alto has got off. So there might have been contact there. The Aston Martin off the road. Both Aston Martins, who were up towards the front at the beginning of this race in qualifying, have already had trouble on this opening lap.
Well, that's really tight through that final corner with his sister teammate as Alto tries to get back up to speed as Jocke Frisk up behind him as well. There's a slow car further up ahead. I think it was maybe Gran or Rosqvist. One of them was going really slowly earlier on in that lap, losing some positions. There we saw him losing another one. As we come onto lap number 2, Byfeld has got Lindhoff just absolutely hooked onto the back of him. He's not pulling away, not even by half a second just yet. Norberg has got Crook for 6th position through NASCAR Bend at T3. That's an interesting overtaking opportunity, but there is one there for the taking if you can make it happen. But as you see around here, it is very narrow, and you have to really be bold with your moves. Let's look at Lindhoff as he does a bit of a flash of the lights there just to tell Byfeld, I'm still here.
Well, yeah, and try and put that pressure on if he can at all here. But I think this could be very, very difficult indeed for Lindhoff to try and get past Byfeld here. He needs to try and maybe strike early here, or at least get in his mirrors early on, so that Byfeld is having to think about his line on the way in towards the braking zones, some of these corners, and have to just defend maybe and slow himself down at the front of the field. This is what happened on the opening lap. Maybe it was Forsell who, some early braking there, wasn't quite reacted to by all of them, and I didn't realise there was actually a wall quite so close there on the inside of turn 1, but Forsell has hit it, and that is going to be damage for him. Motin also hit the wall, we knew that. That's quite a soft hit on the barriers, to be honest, for someone who got a meatball flag there. And this is Sundström's spin. As I said at the time, very nearly a brilliant save, but unfortunately it did get away from him.
That's crazy. I don't always see a tank slapper in a GT3, but oh, that's a terrible rejoin by Lucas Olsson. Oh, big hit into the wall as well. That rear end is absolutely toast, and that is why he's got his meatball. Here is, it's actually Alto on his own, a bit of contact, just a tiny bit on the front end. Is he able to get out of the way of other people? He is. So that is a lot of things to happen in just the space of half a lap. As in live pictures, Robert Eriksson, the number 35, has gone down to P35. He's dropped a whole load of positions, and he's down 16 from his starting place already after having a bit of an issue on that previous lap while we were watching those replays. Though back to the front, and Lindhoff is still there. Byfeld is not getting away at all.
No, he's not. And this is what Lindhoff has got to do. He cannot allow Byfeld to have a reprieve from this pressure. He's got to apply it the whole way through. In towards the fast left-hander, he's even looking down the inside, and that's exactly what he's got to do here. Try and get into the mind of Byfeld, make him think that you're going to go down the inside of places even that's not even really possible, as it is at turn 10 there, South Bend. Good exit, though, out of Oak Tree from Byfeld, and it should allow him to keep the position, but Lindhoff is doing all the right things at the moment, applying the pressure, not letting him go. The gap's never going up more than 3/10 of a second, and now the Mustang starts to pull back a little bit with its exceptional power coming down the back straight in towards the roller coaster. He's too far back, but if he can get a better exit from Oak Tree than he did last time, or Byfeld makes a mistake maybe, that Mustang has the power on that long back straight.
And the reason why this is important is because the difference between first and second is 5 points, And then for every position thereafter is only 1 point difference. So it's 50 points for a win, 45, then 44, 43, etc. So the difference between first and second is so important. And when you have a tough championship run here, these wins you can't take for granted, because if you get 2 wins in a row, and say Byfeld wins both of these races, that's 10 points that he's gained. It's not just 2 like other positions, it's 10 points, which is very difficult to swap around later on if you don't win the races. So that is why Lindhoff is pushing so hard. He can't just sit behind and say, oh, you have this win, I'll get you in the feature race. He needs every point that he can, especially when Byfeld got the bonus point for pole position. There's a big slide from Magnus Gens. Is he able to hold it? Oh no, he goes the other way, ends up on the grass, and that is an awkward place to rejoin. Top speed for the cars coming down there, and is Svensson, a teammate of your leader Byfeld. I don't think he got attacked from behind. That was just all on his own, and ended up in the back.
Yeah, and has to wait a little bit for the train to come past. Robert Ericsson trying to get on the power out of Oak Tree there, clips the inside curb, which is not really what you want to do. You want to get as close to it, but not quite clip it. Although you can get away with it mostly. Not that time for Ericsson, who drops to the back of the field. Look at the way these guys are continuing to extend an advantage over the rest of the field here. Jacques Jou is on his own in third place, but he's still, both of these two rather, are still extending an advantage over him that is now nearly 4.5 seconds. Admittedly, they haven't started to go side by side yet, these two. However, they must be applying the pressure to one another in terms of just a little bit less of a lap time because they're fighting. Lindhoff with a better run through those corners there through turn 14, and so he's really on the back of him now, coming through turn 17 through Hockpen, although constantly that McLaren getting a good exit there compared to the ungainly Mustang.
And Marcus Byfeld knows that chassis wisely, as he used it in the previous season of the GT3s a year ago as well. The 105 machine looked to the inside for Lindhoff, just trying to put himself under pressure. And yes, you are right about the pace. So these guys are in the 43s. There's only one other driver, Andres Bachmann, in 4th position in the 43s. Basically from 6th place downwards, they're in the 45s. Over a second faster than even 5th place on 6th place onwards. That is incredible. Considering they're pushing themselves to the limit, no mistakes being made, they're just going absolutely at it. And then their last lap as well was just 1/10 of the fastest lap of the race, so it's consistently fast times at the front. It's qualifying lap after qualifying lap that Byfeld is having to do to hold off Lindhoff. But whereas obviously not all of the focus is on them. There are big battles in the background. This is Bachmann and Strolberg. Strolberg in the Mercedes on the outside line through turn 7 and 8, backs out of that one, which you definitely have to do if you don't get alongside by T7. You definitely want to sit in behind, but he's thinking about it at least, as the Mustang leads the battle in this one. We'll have to see the straight line speed between the Mercedes and the Mustang.
I think the Mustang will see off the Mercedes as well, to be honest, in a straight line, although it's not a brilliant exit from Andreas Bachmann, who, by the way, only got into the 43s last lap around. Before that, he hadn't been into the 43s, whereas the others out front are consistently going at that speed. Strolberg, though, with the slipstream. Oh, the Mercedes quicker than I thought in a straight line. Inside line it's going to be, and he's been shown the inside. By the time they get to the actual sharp corner, that's surely too late from Strolberg. He's never going to pull that up, and he goes too deep. Now Bachmann's got to get the exit down the hill. Oh, he's gone wide, though, himself. And Strolberg, despite making a bit of an error, you do need to brake kind of late there to make it work on the outside, but he broke too late there, Strolberg. He does make it work, though.
That definitely wasn't a textbook move, but he got it done. Just about kept on the track. So 10 out of 10 for bravery, going as late as he could on the brakes. And Bachmann was slightly polite, as he definitely could have held that a little bit tighter as he went round T15, which is the exit of that chicane, and sort of braked a little bit, let Strolberg in. Fair enough, saves the crash for that one position, but now that has let Yokoshu go a little bit further up into the distance, as they're now over 2 seconds behind him. But look at the battle that's coming in behind. We've got Norberg, Crook, Dan Holmer even in this battle. Holmer making up a few places already from his starting position. He's up 3 on the back of this little bit of a train.
Yeah, indeed. And it doesn't seem that Holmer's going to get through here, is he? Well, he's trying into the S's. Oh dear. Finally backs out of it, and maybe a bit later than he should have done. I mean, the first part is completely flat out through there, and that becomes a whole lot more difficult when you've got somebody alongside you like that. But Holmer does back out. Maybe qualified a little bit lower than where he's able to race here, based on the speed that he's showing so far in the early laps.
Absolutely, but this track is quite something. It's amazing that we still come to tracks like this. We don't go to the big, more open, modern tracks. These old, classic, especially the American-style tracks, they just have a different character, a different vibe. And also, I love the elevation change, which you just don't get again in some newer tracks. This is some battles a little bit further down the order. The number 45, there's Johan Oberg there. He's got a couple of drivers either side of him. Coulson, we've got Matteson as well, who's the one leading this battle in the Ferrari. And then we also have, I think that's Hillestrom just on the back of this 4-car battle. Of course, these guys, they're just outside of where they need to be, top 15. Get reversed at the front, though. Lindhoff has got Byfeld. Where is that? Is that down into turn 1, maybe? As you come through NASCAR bend, Byfeld has worked his way back, so Lindhoff did get to the inside line in turn 1, but then that turns to the outside in T3. Byfeld is able to get back through.
How did Byfeld let that happen? I mean, all you've got to do on the way towards turn 1 is protect the inside line, because the outside is a road to nowhere at this circuit. The hairpin is so long and annoying that you can never get round on the outside. How did Byfeld let this happen? He jams it down the inside, to be fair, does Lindhoff. It was brave, but in the end, he couldn't get himself through. It's high risk, to be fair, because if Lindhoff breaks a metre later there, I think the contact is going to be more severe. It might even send the McLaren into a spin, and there'll be a penalty coming his way for that, if indeed that were to happen. So it's high risk from Lindhoff, but that's the way to do it. You've got to get to the inside at turn 1.
There's a big mess a little bit further back. Stiller, Gran, and I think there was a third driver involved dropping down. That is definitely the indication that there's been a little bit of a pile up there, probably through turns 3 and 4, but they are still back going. This is Marcus Stiller, the 013 machine. Oh, in front of him, the 35. That is Ericsson. He's gone again. He crashed, spun at the exit T12 a few laps ago now. T10 is the difficult corner for him, as he will rejoin on and drop down a few more places.
He should probably put a bit more rear wing or something on that car, or do something, because yeah, that car is going around like a spinning top at the moment. Nicholas Gran goes wide. That's no. Oh, he's got away with it. He spins back onto the racetrack as it double backs on itself there through turn 4 and 5, and a Ferrari following him indeed as well off the racetrack there. I think that's just around Ericsson as well. Marcus Stiller it was, who's made up quite little places by his standards. Normally he's quite good at coming through the field. He does get a lot of practice though.
Well, if he's doing the lawnmower services for the maintenance crew, then he's obviously not going to get as high as he would have wanted. Interesting double incident there for Grant though. He just didn't brake as there's Ericsson spinning in front. It looks like it's just a little 360 pirouette and back onto the racecourse. But yeah, for Grant, he just didn't brake for T4. It was way too deep into there. There was a car he was battling with a little bit. He's obviously probably looking in his mirrors and not focusing exactly where his braking point was. So he needs to calm that one down as we get further into this race. Inside the final 7 minutes of this sprint race here, the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix from Virginia International Raceway. Byfeld leads. He hasn't led fully this whole race, though. Lindhoff did get ahead for a few hundred meters, but hasn't since had another opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he's going to get another one. I think based on the way this race is going, if he does, then it will be just the one more opportunity, but I think he is starting to lose a little bit of time compared to Byfeld here. The pressure that he was applying earlier is not quite as fierce, because it was what, about 2-3 tenths of a second, less than 3 tenths of a second pretty much entirely for the first 10 minutes until he made that dive down the inside. And I think the fear of penalty has maybe put him off getting quite so close and challenging in towards turn 1 in the same way that he was a little bit earlier on. So yeah, Marcus Byfeld is looking in a more comfortable position to me now, but let's see if Lindhoff can get past him here in the next few moments. He does have the fastest lap at the moment, Lindhoff, and indeed the point therefore that would come with it too. I believe he got both of them last week, so that's why he was leading the championship by 1 point coming in.
Absolutely, he did. So there's a bonus point for fastest lap, a bonus point for the pole position, and 5 bonus points for a 0x race as well. So that is an interesting point that we sometimes forget, because it's difficult for us to see in the commentary booth. But if we do get a 0x race from one of these drivers, that's an extra 5 points. That's the same as, you know, the difference that Lindhoff is trying to get right now. Let's see how this one goes as we get to 5 minutes ago. Lindoff almost pushing him through Oak Tree Corner onto his back straight. He's way closer than he has been in the last couple of laps. There's a little bit of lap traffic ahead. Are they going to get in the way right at the chicane, or are they going to get out of the way? That would be the best thing. Actually, they're a little bit too far away, so yeah, they'll probably wait until the front straight. But let's see Lindoff. He's getting closer and closer. He looks to the left-hand side, but Byfeld is not phased at all. He keeps to the right-hand side, which is the inside defensive line when you get to the braking zone. And yeah, the Porsche there gets out of the way nicely for the leaders as they come up to, what is this going to be? Probably three laps to go. It'll be at the line.
Yeah, indeed it will be. So Lindoff with a few more chances, 3 more turns into turn number 1. 2 attempts behind coming in this time round. I think it was about this distance he dived from last time, and Byfeld's not falling for it again. He just pulled to the inside, and that's all you have to do into turn 1. Nothing too extravagant. You just have to protect the inside line. Now, can Lindoff get the exit here and get alongside anywhere through 2, 3 or 4? Well, he's going to find that very difficult indeed. Oh, he has another look there into NASCAR Bend. That is a difficult braking zone, though, even on your own in towards turn 3. And so Lindoff not able to get to the inside, but exactly in the mirrors like he was before. Lindoff is putting that pressure back on Byfeld just after a few minutes of being just 4 or 5 tenths away. He's now right back into 2 tenths sort of distance again.
This is what we love from this championship. 2 high-level racers going for the championship, and every single position is going to count. And even though it's the 3rd race out of 16, they know it's going to be a tough fight all the way to the end. And Lindoff needs to keep himself in the championship hunt where he can. Oh, he lost a little bit of time there, though. He was a bit too fast on the entry and then lost some time on the exit. So he lost a good couple of car lengths there as the McLaren has decent enough straight line speed. If Lindoff is, that extra car length or so closer, he does have an opportunity here down in towards the chicane, but unfortunately that extra car length that he lost just recedes that opportunity. But it's going to be 2 and a bit laps to go. Byfeld is holding on, and the interesting thing, Ewan, is we rarely see him make a mistake when he's got all this pressure in behind.
It is true, and that is the disheartening thing if you're trailing him right now as Henrik Lindoff is, just knowing that you are going to have to do it all yourself. You're going to get absolutely no free passes at all. It is going to have to be all worked for here from Lindoff, and I'm not sure he's going to manage it, to be honest. I think the odds are very much stacked in Byfeld's favour, given the difficulty of overtaking around this circuit. Not impossible by any means, but when you've got 2 drivers so evenly matched like this, it is looking good for Byfeld. If anything, Lindoff needs to keep applying the pressure so that Byfeld doesn't set the fastest lap of the race. It's almost got to start thinking like that, and, try and retake that fastest lap point away from Byfeld, because he very well could take all of the points possible if Lindoff just gives him that little bit of space, as he seems to have done here after the first sector.
Well, it's very true. The fastest lap would negate the pole position point in terms of any difference. So it would just be the 5 extra points that Byfeld will get from the race win. And then we don't know about the 0Xs because they've been pushing so hard. And there are a couple of corners where track limits are a bit of a thing around here. We'll have to find out after the race in that regard. Lindoff a little bit too far, well, quite a bit too far back this time. He's lost a really sort of, probably 2 tenths from where he's been in some previous laps. So definitely falling off. And is that just an eye that Byfeld has this covered in terms of the longer race strategy when we get to the feature race as well? We'll have to find out. But of course, it's top 15 reverse, so we'll be starting 14th and 15th. And what we saw last time was that Lindoff was able to get through the field so much better last time, and he was at points, 6 cars ahead before they were able to get themselves back into P1 and P2. Less than a minute remain coming on to the final lap of the race. Here's Morten Bredesen, who currently has the reverse grid pole, and he's looking pretty comfortable in that.
He doesn't look like he's got any pressure. Next in line is Jörg Frisk, who's in 16th place here, and then behind him, 4 seconds behind, Oliver Rosenqvist and Dante Forsberg and Hakan Schott, who are all fighting amongst themselves. So here they are indeed. So they are looking comfortable inside the top 15 now. But again, it seems like it's almost a moot point really, who's got pole for race 2, because I think it's pretty clear these two are going to work their way forward. Although today they might find it a bit more difficult. It's one of the more difficult circuits for overtaking that we've got on the schedule this season. But nevertheless, you'd still expect them to get to the front in 3/4 of an hour.
Absolutely, and a pit stop as well. So let's see how this one ends in the sprint race. Half a lap to go, but it's basically a couple of corners with a straight. That is a terrible run, though, from Marcus Byfeld. Lindorf has an opportunity. How much does he want to get these extra 5 points? I'm sure it's more than just the points. He wants the bragging rights of beating Byfeld in 2 of the first 3 races of the season. He's got the run. Is he going to go to the left-hand side? He's surely got to do this if he wants to go for the championship. He is on that left-hand side. It'll be the outside for the chicane. He swaps to the inside, but it's not enough. Byfeld holds on to that, and if he wants to get the win, it's going to have to be a big dive through the final corner, which is possible if you want to be absolutely brave and risk it, but no such thing this time around. He's going to slipstream him to the line, though. Surely that McLaren is going to have enough, just about to hold on. It's a long, long run to the line, and Marcus Byfeld is going to win the sprint race here for the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix at Virginia International Raceway to take 2 of the first 3 wins of the season, to back up that pole position that he got. But Henrik Lindorf looks like he has got that fastest lap of the race, so he gets that extra bonus point, and it's just a 5-point gap between them so far this round, which puts Marcus Byfeld in the lead of the championship by 4 points. What a race it was from then. Lindorf had the lead at this point of the track for just a couple of 100 meters, but it was not enough to hold on. The mighty Marcus Byfeld, your reigning champion of this season anyway. If we look further down to P15, it looks like there was actually a bit of a battle, because Bredesen went up to 14th place in the end, and it might even be Jocke Frisk who's just sneaked into P15. We'll find out in a moment, but certainly there's been some changes, I think, on that final lap. Looks like some drivers are dropping down, as we'll have to wait for all of the drivers to finish, to come across the line. It looks like it's going to be Joachim Svensson, the last driver, 1.5 minutes off, so almost a lap behind in the end after some issues in this race. There's quite a few who had issues in the first maybe 3-4 laps, and then they were able to sort of have a bit more of a calm final race. Yeah, it was Jan Oberg who's got a black flag on the final lap as well, so definitely some shenanigans a little bit further down the order. But what a start to the evening that was between Byfeld and Lindorf, certainly showing that they are the championship rivals. Their fastest laps were less than 1/10 of a second apart. They were only 1/10 of a second apart at the line. This is going to be some season. Byfeld, Lindorf and Jocke Schuh rounding out the podium, with Stralberg, Bachmann, Holmer, Norberg, Crook, Gunnarsson and Karlsmar the top 10, and confirmation of Lindorf getting the fastest lap on lap number 8. And then the final for the top 15 reverse is going to be Broström, Hagman, Alto, Bredesen, and it was Jocke Frisk in the end getting that P15. With Rosqvist, Hilleström, Mattisson, Svensson and Sundström in the end P20 after his crash from 3rd place on the grid. He's got a lot of work to do in that feature race to get back up into some serious points. Then there is Oberg, who had the black flag but ends up P21. Forsberg, Karlström, Dahlstrand and Delander, Oriksson, Gran ending up in P27, Stiller from the back in P28, Ericsson and Broström, your top 30. And then the final page or so is going to be Pfeffer, Forsell, Gens, Reistad, Schott and Svensson, the final ones on the lead lap. Then it's Ullman, Motin and Olsen. So far the final drivers. But that was an interesting one to start the evening here at Virginia International Raceway. We're coming up for the feature race in a few minutes, so we'll be back after these messages. And we return to the track with the drivers just warming themselves up for another race. But back to the sprint race, it was the two championship rivals of Byfeldt and Lindhoff. They went at it. They were barely more than half a second separated for the whole sprint race. And in the end, after 20 minutes around here, it was Byfeldt coming out on top. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Dane Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast for the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix here for the Svenska Eracingligan's road course series for 2026. So far in the three races we've had this season, it's been Byfeldt and Lindhoff trading wins, trading fastest laps, and so far just the two pole positions going the way of Byfeldt, who is probably, on average, the slightly faster driver. But Lindhoff is doing his best to have a championship battle. And now, Ewan, we get the reverse grid, they go back to P14 and P15, and they've got to get through the field on a track which is very, very narrow.
Yes, which could be a lot more difficult than it was, I think, 2 weeks ago at the Nürburgring, although that's not the easiest circuit for overtaking in the world either. In fact, it's going to be more difficult, I think, on most weeks than not, actually, if we just look at the rest of the schedule. Laguna Seca, Monza, Interlagos, Brands Hatch, Sonoma and Suzuka. I would circle only Monza and Interlagos as ones where you'd say they are overtaking circuits. The others, very, very tricky. So this is more like going to be the norm. But the thing about this circuit is, and to be fair, all of them, really, the thing about starting 15th and 14th is that the driver in 15th, in this case Byfeldt, has a very good chance of getting alongside Lindhoff very early in this race. Lindhoff was able to pull across Sundström on that first start very easily, I thought, because Sundström was a bit, was sleeping really on the start of the opening race of the day. But Byfeldt will not be sleeping in the mid-pack there, and in any case it's going to be much harder to actually slip into the inside line in the same way that Lindhoff did in the opening race. So he's got to hope that the outside line has got a good run going. He's got to hope that something opens up for him, because I don't think he can really afford to slip behind Byfeldt at any point in this reverse grid race.
Yeah, absolutely not, and especially as the championship has swung in the way of Byfeldt so far this evening in terms of how the points have gone. If he gets a win, that will reverse it back around in his favour. So that is the important factor. The difficult part for them is they've got to get through this field, and if we end up a similar situation as we had in Nürburgring 2 weeks ago, where there's 6 cars between them, that could alter the points very, very quickly. Here's your grid though, and we'll just run you through the top 15 that have been reversed. It was Jocke Frisk who got the reverse grid pole with Bredesen in second place. Auto, Hagman, Linus Broström and Kozma are your top 3 rows, with good opportunities to fight for a podium today. Gunnarsson, Kruk, Norberg, Dan Holmer, Bachmann and Strollberg are your top 12. And then it was, of course, your podium from the previous race. Schue, Lindhoff and Byfeldt. And everyone in behind are starting in their finishing position. So we'll run you through those just for a quick reminder. But this is very tough. We have had, I mean, when we did the Formula Series in a couple of years ago, I swear it was like the top 25 or something silly that was getting reversed that time. We went back down to 10 of the previous season. So I think 15, we discussed this last time, is probably a good middle ground. How are you feeling about that after just the first feature race last time?
Well, after we've seen these opening races now, I feel like we should just forget about reverse grid races and put Lindhoff and Byfeldt to second last and last, to be honest, and leave the rest of them as they are, because that would be most entertaining, to be honest, and they still might come through anyway. But I'm only half joking. I think it is a middle ground. For the IndyCar series, we had 20, and the guys did say, well, it's a little bit of a lottery. Sure, I really agreed at the time watching, but there you go. Maybe it was in that field size, but we do have massive fields here for the GT3, so maybe even 20 wouldn't be too bad here either. I don't think there is a number sort of putting them into last, though, that Lindhoff and Byfeldt would see as too many. You'd still say over the course of 3/4 of an hour, they're probably favourites here.
Remember, a pit stop coming up, 44 minutes of action, but only half a fuel tank, so about 30 minutes they'll go before doing a pit stop to the end of the race. But the feature race gets us underway with Jocke Frisk in the 25 machine as he takes us with a storming start down to pole position. And across the line we go to start this final race of the evening. A big send to the inside from Tommy Alto, trying to get from third to second already. Bredesen from second place has lost out. No one spinning under the brakes a little bit further back this time, but in the middle of the pack there is another driver to go back. I think that's Gabriel Norberg. Kolsmeyer's also been caught up in that. Where are your championship leaders? I definitely saw Lindhoff come through, but where is Marcus Byfeld? I think Marcus Byfeld was involved. He's down to P19. This is a huge break for Lindhoff, who now has 8 cars in between them.
Yep, he's got to take advantage of this now, has Henrik Lindhoff, but it wasn't a great start from Byfeld immediately. I mean, the cars just seemed to just form up right in front of him there, as Lindhoff got quite a nice run on the outside line, which seemed to get going quite nicely. There was just an almighty block in front of Byfeld, and it was very difficult for him to get anywhere coming down in towards turn 1, and then coming out of turn 1 into 2 and out of that traction zone. He did seem to just drop a few places as well, down to 19th, so it's not his greatest start. He is going to have to work his way through the field. Meanwhile, Lindhoff jams it down the inside at the Oak Tree corner. He's already inside the top 10.
Yeah, this is going to be a good points haul from him today. His teammate Alto, though, going for the lead. He already got second place in the first corner. He's going to go for first. It's going to be the outside line when we get to the end of the braking zone. But no, already, Frisk has backed out of that one. He's like, nope, you have that. You're looking aggressive. Let me take second place. And look how much time he's lost by being a bit kind there. Oh, Alto's messed up the chicane, though. And that puts Frisk all over the back of him again, down towards the final corner. But it looks like Alto is going to lead from third to first. 2 places gained on that first lap. And that is a good omen for him as we start this race. As you say, Lindhoff just getting inside the top 10. There's 4 positions made already, but look at the train of cars. It's always a 3-car push down this front straight.
Can he take 2 in 1 here? Lindhoff is going to use his teammate 3 wide in towards turn 1. Diving down the inside, he's gone too deep, but he's going to survive because one of them is his teammate. Stralberg is going to hold tough on the outside line though, as Holmer just lets them both go. Stralberg's still on the inside for the next corners though at turn 3, and so that could be a problem for Lindhoff, and he is going to back out of it through turn 3. If he'd have executed that a little bit better, he would have had 2 in 1. Almost, just using his teammate really in towards turn 1 very nicely, but yeah, I'd say just broke slightly too late, and that's cost him one of those positions.
And this is going to be a big race for the championship. I can feel it. Byfeld has gone down to P26 overall, already 11 places down. Is there some damage on that car as well? We'll have to find out, because he is certainly a lot lower, and the thing is, he will genuinely be a second and a half a lap quicker than some of these drivers in front of him right now. So in theory, he should fly past them. But if there's some damage on that car, maybe he won't be able to quite do so much. What is going on here? 3 wide. Something has gone. Oh, contact is made. This is Lindhoff on the inside of a 3 wide situation. Some drivers back out of that, and he's able to hold on. Crook is the one in the yellow machine backing out. He does not want to get involved in this. This is messy down in towards the chicane. Is everyone going to survive as we get in towards the braking zone? It looks like we've somehow reformed a single file formation, but Stralberg, Backman, Holmer, all those drivers, they were there in front of Lindhoff, and he's got past all of them up to P7.
Oh, and he's going to get past Gunnarsson now as well as Lindhoff. This is just an absolute onslaught right now, and surely his teammate is going to let him through here. Although he's protecting the inside line, maybe Gunnarsson's going to switch. Oh, goodness, that wasn't well coordinated at all. And Stralberg nearly is going to take both of them himself now. Gunnarsson and Lindhoff there with a big breakdown in communication. And Lindhoff brakes too late now. It's almost the same as he did previous lap. He's got to get that turn 1 braking zone sorted here. He's up to 6th place, though, and he's finally in the clear. That was a really hair-raising moment coming down the back straight there. Christopher Crook there, very nearly involved in a massive accident that might have taken out Lindhoff as well. Meantime, this is the group that Byfeld's in. Oh, and he's hit him. He's got hit there. He's definitely got hit. I'm sure that's Byfeld. One of the McLarens for nearly on pace definitely hit there as one of the Porsches ran wide. There he is. He's down the field. This is big trouble for the championship favourite heading into this season, Marcus Byfeld.
And when it rains, it pours. He got caught up in the first lap, and now he's got caught up here on the 3rd lap of the race. That just shows you how being in the pack is difficult. You got to get through like Lindhoff has in the first few laps, but he was not able to do so. I'm sure we'll get a look at this. So he's all the way down. Oh, it's the Porsche from the right-hand side. Good call there from Ewan to spot Byfeld. A couple of drivers a little bit further back, but that was a big hit on the rear and the front of that car. There's no way he's going to be able to get to the end of the race with that sort of damage. He's going to have to come in the pit pit lane. But the issue is, with half a tank, he needs to go at least another 8 minutes to make it without having to make 2 pit stops.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first part. So this is with the Porsche that eventually ends up taking him out. Byfeld trying to get down the inside of Christopher Dahlstrand, it is. And he spins through Oak Tree trying to do that initially. That drops him back into the danger zone. Because as you say, when it rains, it pours, and it just kept going wrong for him. Eventually taken out by that Porsche that had gone for its own issue there. Morten Bredesen, meantime, is passed by Henrik Lindhoff, who's having a dream second race, really. He's got so much time in hand, and he's already 4th.
The only saving grace is there is a drop round in this championship, but Ewan, we're so far away. I mean, it's the end of April is this championship. There's so many races before. This just puts Byford in a situation where he can't make any mistakes from here on out if Lindhoff is going to keep on having the pace that he's got. This could turn things around. I mean, he's going to lose so many points this round. As we said, it's 1 point per position. There's currently 26 positions between them as it stands, and that could separate further as we get towards the end of this race. So we could be seeing half a race victory between them at already the 4th race of the season. But Lindhoff has to keep it on the road, and he has to not get too cocky and just take the points as they come, even if it ends up not being the race victory today.
I mean, Byfeld is only just over a half minute off of the race lead right now anyway. Oh dear, Christopher Crook seems to have had more trouble here. That front left doesn't look like it's really doing what it's supposed to anymore. And that's a shame, really. He also involved in a nearly accident on the way down the back straight here, very nearly. Has got himself back in the pack, and maybe that has caused him trouble. Marcus Hagman, meantime, is off the road as well. And that's a free position for Henrik Lindhoff, but Hagman drops to 11th.
Was it a free position, or was it Lindhoff going through and pushing him off the track? This is what I'm saying, how he doesn't need to go overly aggressive now because he's got the points. He's still flashing now. I don't think Lindhoff can see that from where he is, but the point is there if that was to be a bit elbows out. So Lindhoff already onto the podium here on lap number 5. We've seen Gunnarsson and Rosqvist go side by side a little bit further back. But let's first of all see what happens to Christopher Crook. He's doing all right. He's coming up the hill, back turn 8, turn 9. Is he going to get a tag from the back? Can't see from that angle if there was a tag, but either way, very close. 3 cars going through there. Is a bit sort of blind seeing the apex potentially, but either way, he goes for a spin and a bit of hard contact as well. So Lindhoff back to this battle is looking very, very good indeed. Up in 3rd place, he's got Alto still leading. 2 seconds back to Frisk, another 2 seconds back to Lindhoff.
He didn't get hit here, Crook. This was completely on his own. He misses the apex anyway, but the rear end couldn't keep pace, and Crook goes into a spin. So he's down on pit lane early. And yeah, that's the very upper limits of what might be the pit window here, but he had no choice but to come in, really, because his car was very damaged. I think Byfeld is going to come in at the earliest chance, but I don't think he'll have to wait all the way to half an hour to go, probably a little bit sooner than that. Oh, Carlson doesn't have a rear right tyre there rotating at all. That's one-wheel drive, and that is not going to be going anywhere very quickly.
Yes, that is an awkward position as well. Such a fast section of track already. He's pulling over to the left-hand side. Surely that's a tow situation. I'm surprised it's not telling him to do that. And hopefully, if anyone's at race control is watching, they tell him to do so, because you cannot go. Please do not do this. This is the fastest section of track. This is 6th gear. Got to be 150 odd miles an hour through this section potentially. Sorry, not in the GT3 cars. Well, we'll talk about 100 odd miles an hour in these GT3 cars, but still, that is a slow. And he's gone for a spin as well. Please tow back to the pit lane. I do not want to see an aeroplane crash here. That would not be a fun day for anyone else involved.
He's still trying. I mean, fair play for trying, but he'd be quicker getting out and walking. There we go. He tows back to pit lane. There we go. Well, that probably did take about a minute longer than it should have, but never mind. He's into pit lane now, and safely not going to be collected by anyway, because as you say, it's proper high speed through here. 6th gear, flat out for initially, before you get to the sharper turns as it gets later on in the S's section. And meantime, Henrik Lindhoff is right in the back of Jock Frisk now as well. Frisk, the well, I guess we can say pole sitter, started first in this race. So he's currently doing well to hold on to positions so high over 10 minutes into this race. But out front is Tommy Alto. The reason I'm pointing out where they started, by the way, is because that's where, of course, where they're on the reverse, where they finished in race number 1, and it kind of shows the pace in relation to Lindhoff. But unfortunately for these guys, they're going to be eaten up pretty quickly, I think, by Lindhoff.
Yes, that is true. Let's see Coulson here. Oh, he goes wide and he hits the 720, which is a car going slow at that point in the race. That is Sebastian Aumann, who is, I mean, that was full position. That's not a lap down situation or anything. And we go up to the teammate now of Frisk. And in second place, big send down the inside from Lindhoff, though. Well, I say big send, that was actually quite easy in the end. The number 8 gets up into second place. He runs wide, though, but just about holds on to it. And he is now just one position away from his glory, but he still has a pit stop to come up before we get to the end of this race. He's looking good, though. And where was this situation with Marcus Beifel? Where is he sitting at this point? Because I don't think Beifel is going to be able to hold on to the pace. He's still P26. His last lap was a 55.8, so he's over a second, or just about a second off the pace of most of the drivers, but he's almost 2 seconds off Lindhoff.
Yeah. I'd say at this speed, though, he can still get around, you know, the top 20, maybe top 15. As one of his teammates here flying the team's championship flag for nearly on pace is Mikael Sundström. After the opening round of the season, by the way, nearly on pace, we're leading by 6 points in front of Simrace Sweden, which should be a good battle between those two as well, because while Lindhoff and Beifel are fighting at the front, their teammates are also, they're obviously slower than the top two, but they're evenly matched amongst themselves too. So it should be a good team's championship fight this time round as well. And really, Sundström is left to fight alone now, with Simrace Sweden certainly going better, although not that Jonas Gunnarsson particularly going so well. It's a spin through turn 3 for him, just going a bit too wide and clipping that curb coming into NASCAR Bend there.
Absolutely. This, in terms of the team championship, by the way, the way that they do it is on like an average point situation of your best 3 drivers. So some of the teams that have more drivers, obviously the outside the top 3 scoring, it doesn't count. So it is quite a good way of stabilizing the teams like Simrace Sweden, who have loads of drivers out there. Send to the inside here from Strollberg, trying to get Frisk. Again, that was nice and easy. So 2 laps in a row, the 25 loses a position in T1 rather easily, and decides not to do what Ewan O'Leary says is the simple defensive move to the inside.
Yeah, as if I could do it myself. Yes,
You're
it's
a better driver than you say you are.
yeah, but I wouldn't like to see myself in this field, to be honest with you. It would be also I wouldn't understand the driver's briefing, obviously, but that's besides the point. Yeah, it's the sort of the primary defensive shape you have to take really around here, because after that everything else just flows from it, especially with the first sector anyway. Bit of a run here for one of the Simrace Sweden cars on the way towards the S's. We haven't seen proper side-by-side through here yet. Maybe there's a reason for it. Oh, great move there from Daniel Holmer, it is, ahead of Anders Hilleström. That was a brilliant move there, and yeah, first time I think we've seen a pass through the S's so far today.
And is that on a teammate, though? I think that's another Simrace Sweden car, isn't it, for Hilleström? But either way, the respect between them was there. 79 to 74, and the 79 came out on top. That is what we love to see, a bit of elbows out action. Dan Holmer is a very good driver, very aggressive, and he always wants to be up the top. Unfortunately, he's slightly off the pace in these GT3s compared to the pace he can show on the Oval Series, and so we don't always see him fighting for the race wins. But when we see those actions, that is what we love to see. Is there's Sundström losing a place to Kosmir as he's really on the back foot now. Look at this, drives all over the back of him. Has he got a slowdown or something? Because he is just getting overtaken hand over fist here, or has he got a problem going down pit road?
He must have a problem because he's coming straight down pit lane. Fortunately for him, he can make it to the end from here, but he wouldn't have wanted to come in. He wouldn't have been planning to come in at this stage in the race anyway. Holmer, meantime, was slowed down by all of the commotion there, and he's been overtaken by Jokke, who's also gotten past Hilleström. So he's taken 2 places in 1 there, and Schue is in 3 places if you count Sundström, so he's up to 12. And
Hilleström actually almost fighting back there, coming through NASCAR Bend, but not quite enough. And as you say, Holmer, Schue, the battles continue on. She was looking good in 3rd place in the previous race, but he's not made the moves up the field like Lindhoff, just showing you how that sort of half a second or so pace that Lindhoff and Byfeld has. Here's Holmer trying to go for 2 for 2. This is incredible between the teammates. Hillestrom backs out of that one. Oh, sorry, I thought that was live for a second as a replay of what we saw from Holmer. That is incredible, though, the move that we saw there. That, I mean, the commitment that you have to do. He was half a car length back when they went into that first apex for T7, and he just kept his foot in it.
If only there was a caption that would tell you whether it's on replay or not. But
I did read it, just about 2 seconds too late.
No, never mind. It was an impressive move though. I doubt we'll see many more of those tonight. I'm surprised we've seen one, to be honest. So there you go. Sebastian Svensson, meantime, moves up to 10th. Very slow for Morten Bredsen there. Not sure whether he just wanted Svensson to get past here or what's going on, but pretty slow coming into the end of the back straight there. And now he's going to be under pressure from Shu as well, who really hasn't made very much progress so far. Only up 1 place. Holmer's down 3 as well, so these guys are overdue some overtakes, really.
Oh, they certainly are, as we are inside the pit window to get to the end. So, of course, most of the drivers would have started with a full tank, which again about 30 minutes into the race, but you can still pit now and still take those 50 minutes of fuel. This is for the race lead, though, as Lindhoff has got through. Also, a big mistake there through turns 4 or 5. And he has lost the race lead. Lindhoff back to the front, like we saw in the feature race 2 weeks ago. Started in 14th place after finishing second in the sprint, and then gets through to the front of the field. It took him a little bit longer, actually, than I was expecting in this race so far. We're on to lap 10, but he has hit the front, and he's shown that he has the speed of this field. He's the only driver to get into the 1 minute 43s in this race. So that, of course, means he's got the fastest lap point as it stands.
A very important fastest lap point it is as well. Lindhoff has been... well, I didn't check at the very end of the race. I think he held on at the end of the previous race to get the fastest... Oh, this is what happened to Alto. You just... when you get the first corner wrong of this section here, just snowballs again and again through turns 4, 5, 6, and now onto towards the S's. And unfortunately for Alto, he did get the first one wrong, and it all stemmed from there. So Henrik Lindhoff is up to the top 10. Into the lead of the race, rather, at the head of the field. And yeah, that is sorely game, set and match now as far as the race win is concerned. He's just going to make sure that nobody comes up and takes his fastest lap point away. Byfeld probably the most likely to do that, but Byfeld still hasn't come in yet, so you'd expect that he probably does still have a bit of damage on.
Yes, I would assume so. He's waiting. He's just dealing with it, and he's waiting to do one pit stop. I'm surprised he hasn't come in a little bit early, but it does make sense to go longer. The longer you go, the lighter your car gets, the faster you actually go as the stint goes on. Here is the 35 of Ericsson spinning. Gran gets collected in that. Ericsson, how many times has he spun? He's obviously not feeling very comfortable in that C8R Corvette. Unfortunately, as Gran has to have an awkward rejoin at that moment off the track. But yeah, especially because we only have half a tank, there's way less weight initially as well. So there's way less drop off on the tyres. So you just get faster and faster as the stint progresses. So of course, your way, they're not going to take tyres, so you're way quicker at the end of your first stint, let's call it, before you make that pit stop. So there's no point pitting early, because then your average fuel weight over the race is more, and therefore you're slower.
Yeah, absolutely. It's generally the done thing to wait, but well, maybe the damage isn't so bad. But I would suggest if you do have damage, then it's worth circumventing that and just coming in. But we are nearly at half distance now in any case, and Byfeld is just slowly making the progress back. You might think there's almost no point to this, because he's only going to drop this by the end of the season anyway. If he's to be any sort of championship contender, that is, he's going to have to drop it. Well, he needs that sort of safety net, because going into the final few rounds, if something goes wrong, you want a decent result to fall back on. And so far, it looks like from the first 4 races, Lindhoff is going to have good races to fall back on. And Byfeld, if this is a result, going to be outside the top 20. It looks like he's going to be outside the top 10 from what I can see at the moment. That's not a great result to fall back on. That's what he'll be most concerned about.
Well, in the wise words of Mick McCarthy, it can't go on like this, can it? It can.
I'm not going to complete that.
I was waiting for you. I was like, it can.
Not joining
because you're right. I mean, he's whatever is 26, whatever at the moment, or well, P21 he's got up to. It could get worse than that, and this might have to be a result that counts towards the championship. That is why he keeps going. Every single position is going to count. Big send down the inside is, so he's obviously got some confidence in the car, and it's not too unstable. He's got a teammate just up ahead of him, of Svenska as well, so that looks like it's going to be a more simple move you'd expect, with the Mustang just backing out of the way there, letting the 105 machine through. Fair enough. That's what teammates are for. So now, I say that, Svenska maybe having some problems because the Ferrari sent it down the inside as well. Definitely not up to full speed at that point of the track. But either way, Byfeld is through. Is that P20? That is going to be P18 in the end, actually, because there were some pit stoppers that time around. So P18 it is. This is looking a little bit better, but a lot lower than he would have wanted. The problem for him now is he's going to be missing 23 points to Lindhoff as it stands.
Yep, added to the fastest lap point, 23 points he'll be missing, and that is a big deficit to overhaul. However, 23 point is only 5 wins, versus second place, first versus second. That's only 5 occasions. And considering there's still 12 races to go after this, that's, less than half of the races remaining. Now, I know that it sounds like a lot to say, you've only got to win 5 races, but for those two, that is absolutely nothing. I mean, at a minimum, I'd expect these two to win 6 each this season. I know that sounds absolutely mental, but when you sit down and watch these races, you watch just how fast they are. It's absolutely reasonable, I feel, to suggest that they're both going to win at least 6 races. But if he's going to have results like this, Byfeld needs to recognise, and will recognise, he's going to have to win more races than Lindhoff. It's going to be 2-2 at the end tonight, but he's got to start to tip that in his favour if he's going to win this championship now with this bad result.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if he goes on a spree of 6 wins in a row to Lindhoff, then he'll gain those points back. But that is putting a lot of pressure on those next races, and with how difficult we've seen these feature races can be for Byfeld, he struggled compared to Lindhoff in both of them. Fair enough, he still came second and still had an opportunity to win in Nürburgring. It took him a lot longer. There's a car right off in front of him on the road. It took him a lot longer to get through the field today. It took him a bit longer. Then he got involved in accidents as well. So if this is a continuing factor, he's not going to be able to get those back-to-back wins on a night like we've seen in previous seasons from him. Here's Strollberg. He's got Auto for 2nd place and is looking strong. Yo, Strollberg. He was really strong in the GT3s a year ago when we last did them. He was in the Porsche that time around. He struggled a little bit more so in the Porsche Cup, but back in the GT3s this season, he's looking strong and might be able to grab himself a podium. Let's see a replay. Thanks, Dave.
Let's see. That's very rude, Dame Bird, with that caption. So this is how so he was just tagged there by one of the Mercedes as it's so the Mercedes there's trying to go around the Porsche we saw spun round out of turn 2. And to be fair, it's a good recovery from Byfeld. But already at that point, you commented on it at the time, I think it was 5 or 6 cars deficit already. And once you're further back in the pack like that, the danger of getting caught up in the sort of stuff that Byfeld eventually did get caught up in, the chances of that just rises a lot higher.
Absolutely. A nice 360 though, so he's got the combo bonus. Unfortunately, there's no actual points related to that in this series, but maybe that's something that we can speak to Linus about for the next one. But nice that it was the 360, because then he could just carry on and he didn't lose so many points. But then that is what forced him to make the bold move down into this corner, in T11, T12, which then caused the contact a little bit further. So, definitely not the race that Byfeld would have wanted at that point. Big send up the inside here for 2 drivers. That is a little bit awkward. Not quite any sort of issues though. That was Jochen Schuh, Dan Holmer. They are for P9 and 10 currently. Yeah,
absolutely. Holmer finally, and Schuh actually, just finally making a bit of progress here after a day of, or a second race rather, of really struggling to do that in any sort of timely manner. In towards the end of the back straight they come now, and Schuh still in behind Holmer. I think it's best for them to work together just for the moment. because they've got a 4.5 second gap up to Svenska, who I think they're definitely quicker than, and maybe a few of the others just are up in front at the moment as well. The likes of Hagman, Brostrom, Frisk, who they all finished in front of in the previous race. I think they've got a decent chance of catching up to them if they work together in these next 20 minutes, but they do have to work together. If they fight, then they're never going to catch those big margins up in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But remember, we got pit stop time coming for a lot of the drivers. Everyone inside the top 22, 21 drivers have not stopped yet so far in this race. There are a few drivers a little bit further back, but no one really from the top drivers so far making a move. We would expect them to use the whole full tank of fuel, which should be another maybe 2 laps. Another driver going off through turns 4, 5, 6. That's the red Ferrari there dropping down, having quite a few problems, and that is a really, it's McLaren actually, that's a really awkward position to rejoin. As we've seen Mattisson, black flag for Jukka Schü in the 34. Oh, what big contact! He hit the back of that car. That car that we were saying has got right in the middle of the track. Rystad, that must have been in the 333, and Jukka Schü from your podium in the previous race is going to have to go back to the pit lane.
Very nearly got collected on the way past as well there. But thankfully was avoided. Yeah, he has towed back to pit lane. Was driving very, very slowly. There's big damage there. So that was, yeah, that was big contact. Must have been. Lindhoff's into the pit lane meantime from the front, and so is Jarl Strauberg. Tommy Alto is going to continue and is going to lead another lap of this race, returning to the lead indeed from losing it a little bit earlier on. So into the box goes Lindhoff. Is this, as long as this stop, he didn't speed on the way in, as long as he has remembered to not take tyres and all that kind of business, he should be well on his way. And yep, he's got a big advantage. And yeah, he is strong favourite now in race 2.
Oh no.
Goodness.
Oh, I know you have the relative board there, but that is, there's no way Jukka would have expected that car to go so slow. I feel so bad for Jukka there. I mean, he was completely blind. He was doing the right thing at that, but Rystad just right in the way, going slow. And that just shows you how tricky this track is in terms of the narrowness. But you have to be smart as well, and you can't go through a 5th, 6th gear corner going way below. Let's see this. I mean, you can just about see a car there, but you're going to think, oh yeah, they're flat out, flat out, flat out. Was he trying to let them through? I think he was trying to let them through. That is a terrible location to do that.
Yeah, it is really. You're better off either, as you said, going flat out and staying in front until this section here, where it's, you know, there's a lot more space on the left there to pull out the way, or you can. What's all that smoke about? Oh, there's a Porsche spun around through South Bend as well. Or you can just throw it off the road into the grass, to be honest, and get out that way. But yeah, that's a real shame. I think Schü has a real reason there to be very disappointed indeed in the lapped driving there of Rystad. And yeah, that's given them both meatball flags, unfortunately, down pit lane. Looks like Schü might have hit the instant limit as well in that contact.
Oh, that is not what you want. So this is Alman. 720, already struggling a bit this race, a lap down, and this just adds insult to injury. Does he hit the wall though? No, he doesn't. He collects it up, but almost a dodgy rejoin, but just about got the brakes on that. We're fine. Don't worry about that, as everyone else at the front comes down pit lane, and that is going to put Lindhoff back to the front of the field. 15 and a bit minutes to go. Here's Auto from that second position. He's jumped back up into second place. Jukka Frisk is dropping down. Strolberg there, he rejoins, and I think is going to be behind Auto. So Auto with a better strategy at that point by half a second. He's looking good to keep on to that second position.
Alto's stop was the shortest of anybody's that I can see through the field, other than Hakan Schott maybe, who might have to stop again, but maybe not actually. Oh yes, actually, probably, because they only pitted on lap 4, so Hakan Schott will probably be in before the end of the race, but of those who have pitted and are going to be going to the end, that's the shortest in the top 13, 14. Fredrik Tallender's gone a bit quicker, but he's dropping down. He's now down to 15th place. There's Marcus Beifeld meantime he's got a new car, or has he? Has he repaired any of that damage? I'm not sure he has actually sat there and repaired any of it. Of course, there's no fast repairs, so he couldn't have done it without losing any time. I think he's just decided to go on with the car as it is.
Yeah, and his stop was actually the shortest of everyone, ironically. So yeah, he's just running with it. Marcus Hagman, meatball flag, the number 12. Having some issues there for MHE Racing. Big shame from a driver who you'd hope to be up inside the top sort of 15 or so, but he's now down in P25 and dropping down with that meatball that we've seen. So we're inside 14 minutes, and Lindhoff leads by 8 seconds. 8 seconds after only getting the lead 7 laps ago. Here is, oh no, he's already lost the rear end himself. He's trying to get on the gas as he had a car diving up his inside, but a big sideways impact there has brought out the meatball.
He's hit the wall very straight on there. And it's given quite a lot of damage there as well. Tommy Alto has gone off, has he? Or has he just been overtaken by Stralberg? Naturally, I think he's been overtaken naturally, actually. And yeah, there it is. So Tommy Alto has decided, well, I'm not sure what he's doing at the moment. He seemed to me to come out with an advantage that he'd be comfortable with over Joel Stralberg, but clearly not. Immediately, pretty much, the Mercedes gets past him there into second place.
Certainly, maybe this battle is going to go on. We'll have to find out. Or is Stralberg... Remember, Stralberg was already in second place. He'd already made that overtake on pace earlier in the first stint. So that could just be an omen for the pace between these guys. Fair enough, they stopped different times that swapped the position around. But in terms of pace, they got the same tyres and same fuel to the end. Here is an interesting battle with Byfeld. He's up behind the 33 of Gunnarsson. First of all, we expect Gunnarsson to be a bit higher up, but struggled a bit so far today. This is actually for P15. This would be for Byfeld. Oh, there's a slow run there of the 33. There's a car going down as well. So that is Bredesen, who's had some issues. So that's why Gunnarsson checked up. Byfeld not seeing that, went into the back of him. I think they're okay for now, but another free position.
Yeah, that is a free position. And all of those up in front of him, by the way, are in a train from Dante Forsberg for 10th place. So, oh dear, Bredesen does have damage. I thought he'd gotten away, really. Oh no, he did. Oh no. I hadn't actually seen him hit the wall there, but that's heavy damage, and that's why there. He drops down. Yeah, that was,
looks weird.
I don't know. I think he just lost it on the power, to be honest. There, coming out of turn 5.
Oh, we'll have to find out. We've got black flag for Rosqvist, the 211. There's an audio driver going off in the background. Oh, he then has a big stop wrong, goes in and must get the incident point limit because of that. And that is what happens when you get to this late in the race. There will be a few drivers who get to the incident points, which is 20 in this series. So 20 is your first drive through, and then every 10 thereafter. Here is Gunnarsson holding on from Byfeld as he come across the start-finish line. He's got the run. He's got a damaged car, but he's trying to get Gunnarsson, who is, of course, a champion in our Oval Series a couple of years ago, and even battles up here in the Road Course Series. But Byfeld is trying to get past him with his damaged McLaren. Switches back to the left-hand side, maybe for NASCAR bend. He does. He sends it up the inside, and Gunnarsson doesn't defend that one hard enough. Byfeld slides his way through.
Yeah, you would have expected Gunnarsson to put up a real fight there, because his main championship rival, Byfeld's main championship rival, is Gunnarsson's teammate. So I would have thought there'd be a bigger fight, but Byfeld now up to 12th, and surely now up to 13th rather. 12th is next on the list with Frederick Dallander, then Gabriel Norberg there in a pairing just in front. Forsberg and Hakan Schott, who's got to make another pit stop, are probably on the cards as well. So I think Byfeld might see 9th place as his limit here in the remaining 10 minutes of this race.
Indeed. This is some interesting, crucial points, though, because in the end, it's not going to be quite as bad of a points lost as we were expecting. Of course, it's still a damaging amount. If they go to be 1-2 every race for the rest of the season, then that could be a bit of a problem. But we'll have to find out how it works with the other drop rounds as well, and if they have some bad rounds here and there. Lindhoff is leading with 10 minutes to go. He's got a 9-second gap. He's got this one completely under control. He has still, yes, he's still got the fastest lap. Strolberg has got into the 43s, but he's a tenth and a half off. So Lindorf, I should say, still got the fastest lap at this time and the extra points that comes with that. So this is looking to be good. He'll basically get all of the points today, apart from 5 plus 1. So it'll be 6 points off the maximum from today. So that'll be a very good result if he's able to hold on.
Yeah, certainly would. These guys, though, a long way off the overall lead of Henrik Lindorf right now. 3/4 of a minute off of the front. So Lindorf is controlling this race at the front very easily. Strolberg is, by the way, within 2/10 of his fastest lap now. Strolberg has done a 43.8, but I suppose the difference is in consistency that Lindorf and Bijveld just seem to have in spades, and the others are not able to stay anywhere near as close.
Absolutely not. And that is where the time gap really comes over the course of the race. As you say, 10th and a half off on one lap is fine, but we're going to do probably, 24, 25 laps in this race. So if you lose half a second or even a second a lap in all of the other laps, and it doesn't matter if you're only 1/10 off in one. Consistency is the biggest factor in driving, really. You see these stints even in real life. There was one, I think it was at the Mexican Grand Prix, I seem to remember, from Max Verstappen. And literally it was one of those ones where they did like a 50 lap stint on hards, and every single one basically was within a tenth or a couple of tenths for 50 odd laps. And that is where you gain the time on the field. It's not half a second loss here, half a second loss there. That adds up. You're just going as fast as you can the whole time. And that is really the biggest factor that you need to learn to be a good driver. And that is the reason why I'm not, because I was so inconsistent back in my day. As we see, Marcus Bijveld, he gets closer and closer to the top 10. He's only 2 seconds or even less than that, about a second now off the top 10. The number 6 car up ahead of Gabriel Norberg. He works his way in towards the first corner. But first of all, he needs to get P11, and that is Frederik Delander in the 2:45 machine, working away through turn 3, and he's trying to line up the other McLaren.
Yeah, and he's got to get on with this, because I thought he'd be able to start doing this about 2 or 3 minutes ago, at which point he'd had about 10 minutes remaining in the race, but now he's only got 7. And yes, they're all queued up quite nicely for him, stood up like Skittles in front of him to knock down and get into 9th place before the end of this race, but there's not long remaining. There is Christopher Crooks slowing down in the way that he's supposed to, just before the S's rather than right in the middle of them, so that you can get through nice and cleanly. Bijveld, Jalander, in towards South Bend. He's actually put him off. And Bijveld's now going to get the outside coming into Oak Tree, and Tallander's going to brake early to let him have it. That is almost a free position for Marcus Bijveld.
He'll take those. There's another point, and he works his way forward, and he's so close to a top 10 after all this happened in this race. Been up, down, left and right. I think P29 or something was the lowest that he actually got into. And now he's up fighting for the top 10, which just shows you he didn't panic, he didn't give up, he saw that he could still get a half-decent result. And if he gets another top 10, that's just showing good consistency on the pace anyway, but that just shows you the mentality of a champion. He's won 3 of the last 4 series. He doesn't need to win this one, but he wants to, and he's pushing his way forward, and that is what we love to see. He's not letting Lindorf have an easy run or an easy sleep as you get towards the 3rd round in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, indeed. That's suddenly become quite a big round, I think, for the front end of the championship. I thought first round was very important for Lindorf to just get a foothold in this season. I do wonder whether some of the stuff that's happened to Bijveld tonight in race 2 would have happened if he'd have won the first 3 races in a row in the championship rather than just 2 out of the first 3. It's impossible to tell, of course, but momentum is a weird thing, and sometimes it feels like when you're on a winning streak like that, you can't almost do anything wrong. Maybe there's another world in which Bijveld has won the first 4 rounds of this championship, but who knows. Here he's going to go for it in towards the S's. He's at least shaping like he is. He's not quite that desperate yet, but Norberg in front has got to be very wary now as to where Bijveld is going to throw himself down the inside.
That was a championship decision where risk versus reward, the risk was not worth it for 1 point. 1 point will potentially settle this championship, like it did a couple of seasons ago when Lindorf was fighting Forsland for the IndyCar title, and in the end I think it was 2 points that time around. That was the difference between them. Unfortunately, Lindorf coming second place in the championship that time around. But let's see, this Marcus Byfeld looks to the inside. But for now, that risk wasn't worth that single point. He'll get him a little bit later. Is he going to be able to get much higher? We have another second ahead of Norberg. So maybe, depending on if he can do it this lap.
Yeah, he's got to do it quickly, otherwise Forsberg's going to get away and he's going to get limited opportunities to get into 8th position here. But Byfeld on the outside line, and Gabriel Norberg is getting somewhere now. Outside of turn 1, though, is a long way round. He's got to break late here, keep it tight, not allow Norberg to run out too wide. But no, he wasn't able to really close off any sort of inside line advantage there from Norberg. And, well, Byfeld is now starting to run out of time a little bit. Depends really how many laps we have remaining in this race. Henrik Lindorf is just coming towards the end of another lap. I think he's about to start 2 laps to go. Therefore, these guys are on their 3rd last lap.
Absolutely. So we are about 1:44 a lap at the moment. So yeah, times that by 2, and it is going to be just about 2 laps to go when we get to the line. So Lindorf cruising. He hasn't gained as much time in the recent couple of laps as you maybe would have expected, but I think he's not pushing 110%, just going at a nice pace and at 10th by 10th increasing the gap. But once it got to that 8-9 second gap, it's just slowly increased up to this 9.7 seconds with 2 laps to go for the Beijer Building Material Grand Prix here at Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's road course series. And it's been a very interesting night of racing, both with the sprint race, Lindorf and Byfeld going hammer and tong for that first race win of the evening. And then, of course, Byfeld getting caught up in all sorts of trouble and opening up the championship massively. It's only 2 nights into this championship out of the 10, but still, let's see how this one works. We work our way through turns 4, 5, and Bredesen, what a difficult day he's having, and he loses the front bumper as well for good measure.
Yeah, he is having a difficult time through that first sector especially, it seems. Meantime, Norberg defends again. Byfeld trying to... This time he's closing off his options a little bit. But, late braking from Norberg. And a great bit of blocking there from Norberg. He broke just slightly too late so as to miss the apex slightly. Although not to sideswipe Byfeld, because that would have been illegal. But he did just park the Porsche right in front of him. That was an excellent bit of defending. And this is actively costing Byfeld points. Not really because of a lack of effort on his part, but because of some great defending from Norberg.
Absolutely. He broke late enough that he blocked Byfeld from going the outside. He made Byfeld rethink, I'll stop to the inside, but he was able to bring it down to the apex. It was a great middle ground. That is what we love to see. As we're coming on to the final lap, number 8, Henrik Lindorf for Sim Race Sweden is coming across the line for the white flag. He's absolutely dominated this feature race. He worked his way forward and already after 10 laps was leading this race. And since then, we've had another 15 laps it's going to be, plus a pit stop. And no one has challenged him since that time. Here's Byfeld, his championship rival, who's trying to get a top 10 finish. But Norberg, what a defensive manoeuvre that was in T1. He's got to do it one more time to hold on for this 10th place.
Indeed. And we'll see if Byfeld's even anywhere near as close this time round, because he might have used up all his attempts now. Dante Forsberg might be coming under the threat now of Norberg. Doesn't seem to be as quick as these two, Forsberg, but as they fight, he's been able to keep them at bay and might get a 9th place finish out of it himself here in the purple and green. You can just see in front. Byfeld nowhere near as close this time, coming down in towards turn number 1. And so Norberg is able to focus on up in front.
Absolutely. And Henrik Lindorf, we get to the end of the time and the final lap is there. He's had such a dominating performance today. He's absolutely loved himself. He's going to be over 10 seconds at the front of this field. He's gained 13 positions from his P14 start. He wasn't able to get the win in the sprint races. Magnus Gens gets a black flag on the final lap in the 555. But Lindorf, he wasn't able to get the win in the sprint race. He was sat there behind. He tried his best to get past, but maybe that was an omen because he put himself in a great position. He wasn't involved in any incidents. He was able to slide his way through, and he's going to take the feature race victory for the second evening in a row and extend his championship lead at the front here after winning the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix at Virginia International Raceway. Henrik Lindhoff is your race 2 winner. Strollberg, with an impressive performance, is going to get second place, and Tommy Auto is going to round out your podium.
Yeah, great drives from those on the podium, especially Alto, who started third. Normally, if you're starting in the top 3, it suggests that you're likely to fall towards the lower end of the top 10, such as guys like Job Friskel, who, to be fair, he held on for a top 5 there, and Linus Broström did in this race. However, that is a brilliant drive from Alto. Byfeld stopping down on the last lap here. He's had trouble. He was side by side with Norberg, I should say. It's an almighty battle because Byfeld has gone through on Norberg and Forsberg on the last lap. How has he managed that? It must have taken some doing, because look at the amount of drivers who've caught up behind them. They come over in a massive group in the end, as behind Frederick Dallander, I think it is, caught up to them in the finish.
We'll have to try and get a second look, but for Forsberg, dropping down 2 places, that is a tough one. He must have had some issues slowed up. Maybe checked on Norberg, and Byfeld pounced. It was certainly down in towards the final corner. That was quite something. Henrik Lindhoff, though, taking every opportunity that he had. And all he had to do from the point of, even at the end of lap 1, Byfeld has some problems. He just had to confirm himself, even the top 3, top 5. He didn't have to go for the win, but in the end, 10 seconds the gap, showing his pace. That is quite something. And overall, Virginia, that was a great venue to have. Is definitely a tricky one to overtake, but the entertainment and watching the cars flow through the track is so much fun. It just makes up for it. And then when we do see an overtake, he's really a driver who's had to work hard for it and have to sort of keep himself alive in terms of the opportunities. You can't make one mistake, otherwise you lose the momentum, and then you are never getting through at all. Let's see this. This is a replay of Byfeld. This is already at the start of the lap. Huge run to the inside there. They're able to slide his way through on the number 6, but is not over yet. This is Norberg pushing the back corner there as he works his way now onto this back straight. That's already getting past Dante Forsberg. So they are already past, but it is not over because we saw the 6 trying to go back ahead as we worked our way up to the chicane. So this is flat out through this sequence of corners, Ewan, and I just wonder, is there going to be further contact before we get to the chicane?
Well, I think by the end of the lap there was certainly another attempt here, but Norberg was pushing all throughout this final lap. Look at this on the outside into Oak Tree. That would have given him the better exit, and the Porsche was very good at an exit like this anyway, with the way it's configured. So he's already very, very close to Byfeld. But if you remember from race 1, Byfeld defended excellently on the last lap from Lindhoff, even despite making a mistake through Oak Tree. He really defended very well, so as to not lose the position, but not also lose too much time, so that he was under pressure on the way back down the hill. But on this occasion, Norberg was a lot farther alongside him. Byfeld still on the inside. Slight bit of contact, but I'm not sure that was anyone's fault, really. And then from this point, Byfeld's got the inside line for the final corners, which Norberg could not really recover from. He tried to turn underneath it, and Norberg, but didn't quite get his exit right. And so, he was able to get the position there, Byfeld, and get up to 9th, which is probably as much as he could have hoped for from that race.
I was saying about 3-4 laps ago, risk versus reward, it wasn't there, but the second time around, he obviously thought it was. He was behind going into that chicane. He was behind, and he managed to just about force his way through. But let's have a look at how this race unfolded in the end. Only 21 drivers on the lead lap out of 41. So that is a whole host of drivers having problems. But here's how we finished. Lindhoff, Strollberg, Auto are your podium finish, and Lindhoff did get the fastest lap point as well. Buckman, Frisk, Svensson, Broström, Holmer, Byfeld, and Norberg round out the top 10 after 25 laps of action. Forsberg, Dallander, Gunnarsson, Svensson, Stiller, Ericsson, Matheson, Schott, Cosmo, and Rosvis, your top 20. And then the drivers already going laps down. Broström, Pfeffer, Oberg, Ullmann, Olsen, Gens, Forsell, Coulson, Crook, and Bredesen, the top 30. And then on the final page or so, we got Hagman, Schuh, Hillestrom, Reistad, Gran, Sundström, Dahlstrand, Ulriksson, Motin, and Filikowski, the top 40. And then there should actually be one final driver of Thomas Gustrin, but I don't think he got too far into this race. We got some drivers out for an interview, so let's first have a word with our championship leader, Henrik Lindhoff, the number 8 for Sim Race Sweden. Henrik, that was a big night for you potentially in this championship, gaining good points on Marcus Beifeld. But first, take us back to the sprint race where you were absolutely glued to the back of Marcus. It was no more than about 0.3 of a second for the whole race. How was that, putting all of the pressure on your championship rival?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's so hard to pass here. I tried things, but just not really working. And yeah, I was just trying to stress him. Maybe he makes a mistake, but Beifeld is really good, so he didn't do any major mistakes, I felt. So yeah.
Absolutely. And then we go to the feature race with the reverse grid. You're starting P14, but you're able to avoid, from what we can see, all of the drama and work your way forward. Were you aware straight away of Marcus already having the spin on that first lap and then a second spin later?
Yeah, I saw the first one at least, because it was right behind me, and some of I believe it was a spin in front of me, and I took some avoiding action, and then there was more carnage behind just because they had to avoid the spinning car as well, and I think Beifeld was in that mix. So yeah, I knew quite early, and then I just tried to keep my cool and just don't make any mistakes. Just get through the traffic and or the other cars, and then yeah, try to control it from there.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking is because you're still making some aggressive moves to work your way up. There was one point where you were 3 wide. You had your teammate, I think it might have been Gunnarsson at the time. You were diving down the inside of him in 3 wide in turn 1. Like, you're really trying to make those moves to get to the front quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of have to still. I mean, it was quite close actually with Joel Stolberg and Tommy right before the pit stop. So, I mean, if you don't do the moves, you might not get up there quickly enough. So, yeah, I sometimes might be too aggressive, but you have to go for it sometimes.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, I guess it's worked because you are now going to be leading the championship by some margin. Of course, we have a drop round to factor in later on. So this may end up being Marcus's drop round. But for now, keep it going. You're doing a good job. And hopefully you're going to challenge for this championship.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
No worries. We'll speak to you soon. And now we will bring in Tommy Auto of the number 87 machine. And of course, you are a teammate of Henrik, who got the win tonight. But Tommy, yourself, you had a great battle there, especially in this second race. You started up towards the front and you worked your way forward very quickly on that first lap. You're able to take the race lead. Just how was that, fighting from third to first at the start?
Hey, guys. Yeah, it was yeah, I just wanted to go to the front really in the beginning, just try to hold it as long as possible and maybe save some fuel and maybe keep a spot in the top 3 at least after the pit stops. And yeah, that's what I managed to do. So I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
And how did you find this track here at Virginia International Raceway? It's an awesome, fun track to race on your own, but it must have been quite difficult when you're trying to battle with people.
Yeah, when you get to drivers that are in maybe similar pace, it's pretty hard to pass them. But yeah, it's possible, but you need to do some sketchy dives for sure to do it.
Absolutely. Looking to Laguna Seca in a couple of weeks' time. How are you feeling going further forward in this championship? Do you think you can get some more podiums?
I hope so. This is my first one in this league, so it's pretty fun. But yeah, I'm gonna do my best and practice a lot, so I can be up here again. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. So yeah, well done for today, and congrats, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And then lastly, we'll bring in Linus Broström. Linus, we didn't speak about you so much tonight as maybe we would have wanted in the 71 machine, but how was it out there for you in your Polski Logistics BMW?
Yeah, two good races. Pretty calm. I got through the starts cleanly, and after that I just tried to set my pace and not engage in too much battles to lose too much time, and kept my pace and stayed on track. Was hoping before race 1 to get a top 15 to be on reverse grid pole, and somehow managed all the way up in 11th. And then for the second race I just stayed in front of the chaos at the start and somehow finished P7. Not really sure how, but 11th and 7th with 2 0Xs. I think that's about twice as many points as I would have expected when the night started.
Absolutely. The 0x zone we discussed during the race, actually, because I thought it was going to be fairly impossible today for a driver to do so. So the fact that you're able to do that, how important do you think those 0xs are going to be for those fighting, for the positions right at the front of the championship, because they can add up really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, like you saw today, Marcus had an incident, so that's one of his 2 drop weeks. So if you have to use both of your drop weeks for incidents like that, I think that could actually be what decides the championship in the end, because they're so even. They go winning a race each. Henrik has the fastest laps, and then Marcus has the pole position, so they score very equal points as long as they both stay on track. So I think getting that one more 0x at the end of the season could be what decides who wins it, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole load of fun. So yeah, congratulations on a pretty decent result for you today, and we'll speak to you next time.
See you in Richmond.
Absolutely. And talking of that, that's because the racing never stops here at the Svenska Eracingligan. The schedule continues on. And as I'm mentioning, we go to Laguna Seca next week, but we have a whole host of other races. We, of course, end the season at Suzuka and on the 30th of April. But before that, we go to Sonoma, Brands Hatch, Interlagos, Monza, and Laguna Seca next week for the Lungacunion race. And it's going to be a whole load of fun. What I say next week is 2 weeks' time. On the 19th of February, we'll go racing always here on a Thursday evening, RaceSpotTV. But that is not it, because next week we go back to the Oval Series. We alternate every single week, and we go to Richmond. As Linus was saying, we have 208 laps of action in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be myself and Ewan alongside me once again. That is going to be a whole load of fun. But yes, what a race it was here for the Beijer Building Materials Grand Prix here from Virginia International Racers. It was myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Dane Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next week at Richmond, or in a couple of weeks at Laguna Seca, we wish you a very warm goodbye.